President Biden has repeatedly claimed that he wouldn't raise taxes on anyone over $400,000. The president's budget includes $5 trillion in new tax hikes, with much of that targeted at corporations and businesses. Of the $5 trillion, approximately $2.7 trillion is targeted primarily at corporations. Now I quote or refer to the executive branch study. On its website, Treasury Office of Tax Analysis provides a distributional analysis for all taxes. That analysis shows that households with incomes below $310,000 bear approximately 37% of the corporate tax under current law. Using Treasury's own analysis, isn't it accurate that those earning under $400,000 would see their tax burden increase at the very least by hundreds of billions of dollars just under the corporate tax proposal alone?
Senator Grassley, I'm happy to look at that analysis, but we took a lot of time working with Treasury to make sure none of our proposals impacted those making under $400,000. If the assumption is corporations will pass on any tax increases the president's asked for hardworking Americans, that is something we should all be concerned about. But all of his proposals are focused on those people that make over $400,000, and frankly, most of the tax proposals will hit those in the top 1% and 2% earners in this country.
Well, this estimate is by Treasury, and you said you work with Treasury, but then they're giving you conflicting views compared to what I quoted. We have also data from the Joint Committee on Taxation suggesting taxpayers under $400,000 would shoulder more than half of President Biden's corporate tax hike. And I think you keep forgetting that corporations are nothing but a sheet of paper. They're management, they're employees, and they're customers. And everything that corporations pay is passed on to somebody else. So you got to get over this, that tax increases on corporations affect workers by 27%, I think is what, 37% is what your own Treasury Department said. As part of his budget, President Biden fails to include an extension of the 2017 tax law. Based on information supplied by the Joint Committee on Taxation, approximately 70% of the benefits of the tax law flows to taxpayers earning under $400,000. That equates to approximately $2 trillion tax hike on those earning under $400,000. So I want to make an important point. That's not that not extending these tax cuts would be a direct violation of the president's pledge, and that. So my next question is this. The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office has been providing Congress with an independent analysis of the president's budget since the 1970s. In recent years, CBO hasn't been able to re-estimate all the proposals in the Biden budget, citing a lack of details from the administration on several multi-billion-dollar proposals. So would you commit to providing CBO with the necessary information it needs to provide Congress with an independent assessment of all the policies in the president's budget?
Congress absolutely needs CBO's analysis, and I've never heard this concern from CBO, and I'm happy to take that back, Senator Grassley, but we will provide CBO what they need to do this independent assessment.
Okay. My last question is, the president's budget estimates that making Obamacare subsidies permanent for higher income earners, some of whom make over $200,000 a year, will cost $273 billion over 10 years. This is a 67% higher than what you estimated 3 years ago. Enrollment only explains half of this increase. Obamacare subsidies are growing 4 times greater compared to total national health expenditure. Could you explain this re-estimated $110 billion increase in Obamacare subsidies to high-income earners, and keeping in mind enrollment only explains about half of this increase, why do Obamacare subsidies cost much more than overall health care costs?
Well, Congressman, I want to thank the senators that supported extending the premiums to Americans. We are very proud of the fact that enrollment has increased substantially under the Affordable Care Act. Happy to go look at the analysis, but I think the good news story here is more Americans have access to health care through the Affordable Care Act. As some states pull back on Medicaid, it is incredibly important that we ensure that Americans have health insurance. It will cost us more in the healthcare system if we did not have this critical program at this juncture. So I'm happy to look at the analysis you have, but frankly, the good news story is we have more Americans covered under this law, and we will continue to push to make these premiums permanent.
You can't explain the $110 billion, in other words, is what you're telling me.
So I'm saying that enrollment is why the costs have gone up, and I'm happy to work with your team to see what the difference in numbers are. I'm not in the habit of answering analysis that I haven't seen, but I'm happy to take that back.